On this episode of Cox Connections, for 7 years, Fredericksburg All Ages has been counteracting the lack of music venues available to young people in the greater Fredericksburg area. Then, Feedback Enterprises is a local small business revolutionizing the way people learn, teach, and enjoy life with its instant feedback coaching smartphone app. And finally, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Washington help children of all ages build confidence and acquire skills needed to become productive, civic-minded, and responsible adults. Stay tuned. Cox Connections is next. Hello and welcome to Cox Connections. I'm your host, Catherine Falk, Vice President of Public and Government Affairs for Cox, Virginia, filling in for J.D. Myers. Fredericksburg All Ages is a music project dedicated to youth empowerment, youth leadership, and affordable music and arts programming. It's the only late-night music and arts program in Fredericksburg catering specifically to youth and young adults. To help explain what they do and the impact they have on our community, we're joined today by Jonas Chittister, Vice President and Program Coordinator. Welcome to the show, Jonas.
Thanks for having me.
So your organization just recently won a big contest, and that was the Cox Wi-Fi Scavenger Hunt. That was a contest that Cox put on to promote the use of Wi-Fi, but you had a wonderful group of people. How many people were on your team for this contest?
Oh wow, maybe like 10 about. We had two teams. One was out in the field, taking the pictures. We had to upload them to Twitter and tag Cox in it. And another team was in our studio solving the riddles and finding the locations we had to go to.
So you had 14 clues, and the clues would tell you about where to go and what to do when you got there. What are some of the fun things that you and your team had to do, and then post the pictures on Twitter to win the contest?
Oh gosh, one of the toughest riddles was we had to get to the steps of the Chamber of Commerce, and we had to act out a scene from The Sound of Music and capture that in a photo. So that was a lot of fun on the riddle solving half. I'd say probably the other highlight was one of our members who was out in the field volunteered to get his hair dyed blue because the trick was to be audacious.
And that was at a location that was a hair salon, right?
Yeah.
That's terrific. Wow, and so you guys won, and what did you win in the contest?
$5,000 from Cox. It was amazingly generous.
That's fabulous. And what are you going to do with the money?
It's going to go into our Studio 15 program, which is a digital arts and media lab. We host classes and workshops that are catered to teens in the area, and things like graphic design, videography. Recently we launched a class for logo design and marketing. And we keep it at a really affordable rate, which is important in the area because it's not the kind of thing that you find in local schools right now, at least in this part of Virginia.
So tell us more about Fredericksburg All Ages. How long have you been around, and what is your goal?
We've been around about 8 years, and the goal has evolved a little bit over time. It started out as our president noticed that there was not, with the help of youth that he knew, brought this up to him. There isn't a place in Fredericksburg at the time where a young person under the age of 21 could go out and see live music. It was all bars that were 21 and up. And so he decided, with the help of some youth that he knew, to put together a show that their peers could come to. It was wildly successful the very first time, and they decided to keep doing it. It kind of just naturally evolved into kind of creating that artistic space where youth can be with their peers and express themselves artistically, and also kind of have ownership over that process.
And so this is really about building community for you, right? Building community among the young people in the arts community?
Definitely, definitely.
And so you have events how often?
About twice a month.
And what do those events look like?
Well, and mostly the programs are concerts, like the first one we did. That's been going on since then. We'll have about 2 of those a month, downtown in various locations, usually at night. They're always all ages, always affordable. Sometimes we'll have workshops with Studio 15 for the classes like we were talking about. And those generally fill up our monthly schedule.
And this is a personal commitment you've made since actually starting in the program, right?
Oh yeah. I started coming to shows in high school and got slowly more and more involved, and now many years later I'm vice president now. Wow, imagine that.
Yeah. So what did you take away from it when you were a student, and what do you think other students are taking away from it?
Oh, wow. It's a really special experience. It's like nothing I ever experienced anywhere else. You really get a sense of belonging in that kind of environment. And especially if you start to get involved as a young person, a real sense of ownership, because you're making the events happen, you are making the decisions. It's all you and your peers. So I've really never felt anything else like that in another environment. And I imagine that's what is going on still with the current youth.
So the youth that participate learn about music, and they also learn about setting up events and operating those events, and all sorts of different skills you actually take away. Yeah. Really, through that process, I've watched, it's amazing just to watch some of the teams we work with, like their leadership skills grow incredibly, their interpersonal skills develop. Like, they work together as a team to make these things happen, but also some of them take leadership roles, delegate work, like keep to deadlines. It's really cool to watch. So. Great, but it's an all-volunteer organization, so I'm sure that you would love everyone to know that you love more volunteers, you'd love participants in the program and students to come out to your events.
Oh, yeah.
And you wouldn't mind some donations, right?
Yeah, that's always great. Donations always appreciated.
That's great. Now, you have a website as well. Tell us where that is.
www.fredericksburgallages.com. Anyone can go there, check our schedule, make a donation, read up about what we do or our programs.
That's terrific. Jonas, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Coming up, our next guest left a perfectly good, stable career of 22 years to pursue her dream of starting her own business. She just won a competition hosted by Cox Business, but she's just getting started. Stay tuned for more Cox Connections.